The price of groceries is still stressing out most Americans.
Across the country, people are paying more for everyday expenses.
3% of Americans say the cost of groceries is a major source of stress.
An alarming new trend. More Americans are tapping into their 401ks for emergencies.
The U.S. experiencing record low numbers of first-time home buyers.
These are the headlines we wake up to every day. Your money is worth less, housing costs more, and your credit cards are just exploding in real time. And every politician, every news anchor, every expert has a different explanation for why this is happening. But what if I told you that none of them are talking about the real reason? What if I told you that there's one group of people in particular that have more control over all these numbers than the president, more power over your daily life than Congress, and you've probably never even heard of them? I'm going to reveal who these people are, show you exactly how they control your financial life, and explain why their decisions matter more to your wallet than any election. By the end of this video, you'll understand how the economy actually works. Okay, let's say you buy Starbucks. You tap your card, $7.50 disappears from your account and appears in the coffee shop's account. Simple, right? Wrong. What actually just happened is way more complicated and way more important than you actually think. Here's what actually happened. No money moved at all. Your bank just changed a number in their computer from, let's say, $1,000 to $992.50. The coffee shop's bank changed their account number from, let's say, $5,000 to $5,007.50. That's the entire transaction. Okay, so far so good. You had money, you spend money, numbers change. But most transactions in America don't work that way. Most of the time, people are spending money they don't actually have. All right, so let's say you don't have $7.50 in your account, so use credit card instead. Now, you're spending money you don't have to buy coffee that costs money the coffee shop might not actually receive. And here's the mind-blowing part of why it actually works. When you use that credit card, your bank literally created $7.50 out of thin air. They added it to the coffee shop's account and added $7.50 to your debt. The total amount of money in the economy just increased by $7.50. They created money by typing numbers into a computer. Kind of sounds illegal, right? Well, it's not for the banks at least. So this works because of something called fractional reserve banking. And this is how fractional reserve banking works. Let's say I deposit $10,000 of my money to the bank. Now banks are required to keep a certain amount in the bank, let's say 10%. So the bank keeps my $1,000. The other $9,000, banks are allowed to lend out to other people or businesses that need money. So let's say the bank lends my $9,000 to Sally, who then uses that money to buy a car. Now the car dealership who sold Sally the car takes that money and deposits to their own bank account. And guess what their bank does? It keeps the 10% of that money and lends out the rest of it. Sounds reasonable, right? But here's the crazy part. When they lend it out, they don't take it from my account. My money is still there available for me to spend it. They create new money in the form of credit. So my $10,000 deposit becomes a $9,000 loan to someone else. And once that someone else deposits this $9,000 to their bank account, that bank lends $8,100 to someone else, and the process continues. Now remember, banks are not allowed to lend out against your full deposit. They're required to keep a fraction of it, which in our example was 10%, right? So due to these requirements, every night after you go to sleep, banks are frantically lending money to each other. Bank A has too much cash, Bank B doesn't have enough cash, so Bank A lends to Bank B overnight. And in return, they charge some interest. And that interest rate on these loans is what controls everything. So in the US, we have around 4,000 banks creating trillions of dollars out of thin air, lending to each other every night and controlling whether you can buy a house or start a business. But who's making sure this all doesn't collapse? Who's setting the rules? Who's the adult in the room here? Meet the daddy bank, the Federal Reserve, the institution that honestly makes the Italian mafia look like a limited stand operation. And obviously, Fed's chair, Jerome Powell, the guy who would foreclose on an orphanage if he had data to support it. Honestly, he strikes me as a guy who goes home to his mansion and tells his wife, "Honey, I made it so a million people can afford rent today. Pass the fucking caviar, please." Alright, so the Federal Reserve is the main bank that has immense influence over the other banks. The ones that you and I use, like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, JP Morgan, etc. And the Fed has a few very simple but incredibly powerful tools that they use to influence how these banks behave. So yeah, when Jerome Powell and 11 other people sit in the room and decide to play with their tools and raise the Fed funds rate, here's what happens. Your mortgage rate goes up, then your credit card rate goes up, because why not? Your car loan rate goes up, your business loan rate goes up, and even your fucking student loan rate that you will be paying until you die goes up. Now, on the other hand, your savings account might finally pay you something instead of the insulting below inflation rate. But let's be real, if you're watching this video, you probably don't have savings. You do have hopes and dreams and probably credit card debt. Probably a lot of credit cards, actually. Anyways, yeah, essentially everything comes down to what these 12 people decide in this room. Alright, don't believe me? Let's go back to March 2020. Fed cuts rates to 0. Your mortgage rate drops to 3%. The stock market goes absolutely crazy. And then your house prices explode. Now fast forward to 2022. Fed raises rates. Your mortgage rate hits 7%. That $500,000 house now costs you over $1,000 more per month. Same house, different rates. But it doesn't end here. When house prices exploded, it triggered a cascade of other costs. Property taxes skyrocketed because your home is now worth more. Insurance companies jacked up premiums because replacement costs went through the roof. So you're not just paying $1,000 more in mortgage, you're getting hit with higher taxes and insurance too. That's the power of this one number. And this brings us to Trump calling Powell a numbskull, a loser, dumb, and even giving him a hilarious nickname, Too Late Powell. While it's definitely entertaining to watch, this isn't just a political theater. Trump knows that whoever controls this number controls the economy, and whoever controls the economy wins elections.